Well, that escalated quickly, didn't it? Welcome to the Walks 101 HQ, where I'm closing up shop at the moment. I need iPads. As anyone from here will know, if they've seen the news, we're shut. And when I say we, I mean as a people. As a people of Victoria. Businesses have been ordered to shut, which means that those lights are now off for the foreseeable future. And I tread into some uncertainty. So anyway, I've had a bit of a rough day. I imagine a lot of you have as well. And so I thought maybe to get our mind off things, we could go on a little walk. So we're gonna go straight from the office here over to a place I like to go to clear my head, a place that I don't think many people know about. These are going to be the prettiest toilets in Melbourne. So I'll take you there right now, direct from our office. In the meantime, as I go, I'll tell you a little bit about what we have here, tell you about what my plans are for this video thing, because I have some plans, and also what we're gonna do over the next few months as a business that suddenly is not allowed to operate tours anymore. So, here we go. First off, my day started with watching the Premier of Victoria speak just around the corner from here, Daniel Andrews. Dan Andrews and the Premier of New South Wales had a coordinated press conference. They both were speaking at around the same time. And the place that he was speaking from, as I was watching him speak, is literally across the street from my office. It's pretty interesting to watch it happen, actually. So, let's see, just going to quickly throw my things. What I see, Phil? There's Phil, all around excellent person, and also a guy who helps me with some of our marketing with his agency. I'm just gonna throw these iPads in the car and then make our move. Probably should not have said that loudly, but we'll see. Someone can make a quick buck if they want to. So anyway, Daniel Andrews, Premier of Victoria, lives just nearby, or works just nearby here. This is the Premier's office. It's also the head of education, where they are now preparing to close all the schools in Victoria right now, and we are in lockdown. It's gonna be an interesting few months, to be sure. What we're gonna do with this video series is, guess what? This is now the business. Ooh, people are temperamental. This is now the business. We're gonna do a daily video series, starting now and ending possibly never, every single day. Instead of doing live videos, you may notice that this is not one of the Facebook live videos. I'm gonna start doing some light editing to start with, and then maybe a little bit more as we go. I'm also gonna be involving some other people in this series. Some of those people are going to include our very recently out of work tour guide staff. If you yourself are a tour guide in Melbourne, in Australia, or anywhere in the world and would like to participate, I would like to put the call out for you to participate. I'm working right now on an action plan to make this video series something that we can all do to help people see the world in as safe a way as possible, because there is a way to do this video series where we don't have to gather in groups of more than 2 people, as Germany has just announced today. But in the meantime, let me show you where I am. This right behind me is MacArthur Street. And then the street just beyond that, that would be Spring Street over that way. And this is kind of the entry to the Hollow Grid. I am bringing you up there to that tower. That tower has a beautiful hotel at the very top and some great toilets as well. Toilets have a really interesting history here in Melbourne. In fact, let me walk you by over this way. In the very early days of Melbourne, during the marvelous Melbourne era, as we call it, toilets were a bit of a status symbol. To have a public convenience was kind of already a big fancy thing to have in the mid to late 1800s. But you know what's even fancier than having a public convenience? Having a public convenience for, guess what? Ladies. Coming up to the ladies' toilets in just a moment here. Having a ladies' toilet was seen as ridiculously garish and over the top, because women, of course, would not need to use a bathroom. Why would they need that? Instead, they would just go to the bathroom at home. They had to go to the shops. They'd only be out for a minute, which means that that sign right there for ladies is a bit of a big flex. Melbourne in general is a city that's trying to flex its muscles. It's trying to show off just how wealthy and sophisticated it is. And so things like that ladies' toilet do just that. Here we have Gordon Reserve behind me. I just did a video from here the other day where we won't have very many tours coming here for some time. And now we have a man. Oh, what a time. A man passing me on a bicycle with a face mask on. I went to the bank today, and at the bank, they had a big taped line on the floor that said, "Do not cross." That was about a meter away, 1.5 meters away from the teller. And the teller was wearing one of those, not surgical masks, but the fancy, like P45 masks. Yeah, kind of a weird time. Anyway, the street that I'm jaywalking across right now, which, by the way, if police were more concerned about it, they'd be out here giving fines. The police in Melbourne are really well known for doing stings, where they stand here, wait for people who are jaywalking, and issue the pedestrians a fine as they cross the street. But that street over there is called Spring Street, and it is the border of our Huddle grid. And right over here is the entrance to Parliament Station for the few people who might still be taking the public transportation nowadays. Melbourne's got a pretty interesting public transportation setup. I'm not sure if you ever appreciated this if you're from Melbourne, but the City Loop is actually pretty miraculous. The City Loop is a way of not having a terminus train station. So in German, for example, the word for train station, for the final train station, is a Hauptbahnhof. And a Hauptbahnhof is one of those ones where the train goes all the way in, it's the end of the train tracks, and to pull out, the train has to go all the way back out again. So how do we get around that? Well, when our trains come into our city center, and by the way, I'm not talking about trams, it's a different thing. Our trains, when they come into our city center, they don't go straight into a terminal point, they go in a circle and then go right back out again. So for example, if you're coming from Footscray, which is in the west of Melbourne, you might come down via North Melbourne, and then from North Melbourne, your train will go, depending on the time of day, it might go to Flagstaff stop, and then Melbourne Central stop, and then Parliament, and then Flinders Street, and then Southern Cross, and then right back out to where it came. By doing this, anyone who's making their way over to the city can get out at the place that's best for them, and same the other way around. In the meantime, if you just need to quickly hop around the city, hopping on the City Loop to go 1 or 2 stops, it's pretty darn convenient. Let's make sure I don't get hit by a tram here. Trams, by the way, are coming up. Trams are one of my favorite things. I had a whole video I wanted to devote to those things. The E-Class tram behind us, but I don't think I'll be going on it based on the news of today. As I make my way into this building, I want you to look at these. This is up at the roof level right now. And the reason I'm having you look at this is that the architectural firm that designed these is the same architectural firm that did the pyramid entrance of the Louvre. If you look behind me, you might be able to tell how similar that looks. That's for very good reason. These are Melbourne's pyramids by the same firm. Really cool thing, and it's not just here at the parking garage, it's also all over this complex, which is called Collins Place. Let's see how long it's going to take us to go into lifts right here. For a long time, I really didn't like this building. It, to me, represented everything wrong with Melbourne architecture, in that Melbourne used to be this incredibly beautiful gold rush city, and then development. Our cities love development, and sometimes it can be to the detriment of the city itself. And so for a long time, I didn't like this building, but I'm sure I'd come around to it. By the way, these are probably this is the only lift I've ever seen that has the fancy touchscreen buttons right on there. The reason is that this lift does not go to any floor between the first floor and the 36th floor. Everything below here is offices. I believe it's the it's the Telstra Telstra or ANZ, one of the two offices there. And so we're skipping by all those office buildings because once we get to the very top, then we are at our fancy luxury hotel called the Sofitel. It's one of our 5-star hotels in town. We're big fans of them. They've got beautiful ballroom and all this nice stuff. And most importantly, when you get out on the 35th floor, you look up this atrium, you can see the entire hotel from down there. You guys who are going to be coming down here will want to come and look straight up this way. The beautiful atrium there. And then you're gonna wanna look for this. If you're a man, you're gonna wanna look in that way. If you're a woman, there's a picture of a woman over there. Let's see what happens as we go in. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the most beautiful toilets in Melbourne. This is a floor-to-ceiling window right next to our urinals right there with an absolutely stunning view. So next time you want to get a great view, I encourage you to come out here. In fact, the place I just walked by down there, where our Premier, Daniel Andrews, is working, that's the complex of government buildings that you're seeing just below. So really worth your time to come down here, see all the sights. From over here, we get the view of the MCG, which until just yesterday was where the football was being played. The Australian rules football, that season, of course, indefinitely postponed. We also, if you can just see that little blue court right there, that is one of the tennis courts that make up the Australian Open complex, Tennis Australia's complex. The white rafters you see right there, that's Rod Laver Arena, where the tennis final takes place. So really stunning views that you can see as you come over here. And I encourage you guys to come check these out for yourself when they are open. Because, as I was saying, the view here is pretty great. In the meantime, if you ever want to have a nice dinner, they've got a great little restaurant here as well with some great views. Ooh, come on, exposure. Come this way, see if it works better from here. There we go. So that's something to add to your list to do. Now I should mention, I've been breaking the rules. I'm not supposed to be here. There's a sign that actually says this area is closed. So if anyone from the Sofitel is watching this, my apologies. But I'm really committed to this one take thing. Closure. The Sofitel is taking it extremely difficult to close the restaurant and bar temporarily. Far out. One last thing I want to show you guys. Oh, I'm gonna miss my lift. There we go. Before we go. So I came in from the ground level. Oh. It's not letting me through. Huh. I'll show you one last thing before I check out for the day and then check back in. I hope for the next video to be a proper video with some other supporting players involved. If you have anything that you'd like to know about Melbourne, something you'd like me to profile, an area you would like me to go, please let me know. I could use some ideas right now, and I have lots of time on my hands to start doing some research. Ears pop as you make your way down this lift, quite fast actually. One of the other reasons I wanted to come here is that today with the announcement of all the closures, Eureka Tower and the Melbourne Star have also closed for business, which means that I thought this would be the only place left to go for a nice view, but maybe not even that. So I'm just coming out the entrance from the car park over here. I'm gonna show you one other thing I love. Make my way in there, and it's this. This is one of my favorite food courts in Melbourne. It's, you know, pretty standard looking food court, but because it's got some pretty expensive office buildings around here, you've got some great little restaurants. You also have, let's see, pan around this way, a great cinema. So just down over here is the cinema with the signs on it, looking like the zombie movie. I don't know how well you can make that out. Temporarily closed. Right over there, 5 and D stands for 5 and dime. best bagels in Melbourne. Zev is the name of the owner over there, and he came from New Jersey and saw that Australians don't know how to do bagels properly, and that's why he started up Five and Dime, an amazing place to go to. There's lots of places to return to, and above you have that same kind of pyramid structure from the architectural firm. So anyway, this is Collins Place. It's just at the very end of Collins Street, the intersection of Collins and Spring. One of my favorite places to go for a bite to eat. And if you want to see where we've just been, you can just make out the outline of that tower right there. We were just about there. Struggling with my finger. There, right there. So feel free, once all this is passed, to come on back. In the meantime, I'm going to sign off for now. I'm going to wish you all well during this crazy time. Remember not to panic. Look after yourselves. We all have to look after each other and ourselves during this time. And I will see you all very soon.